What's up everybody, Damon here, and in today's gaming news, Death Stranding just strolled onto Xbox, Multiverses is another swing and a miss for Warner Brothers, and Sony is thinking about adding a rewind button to your PlayStation controller. This is your Daily Fix. Death Stranding is finally on Xbox after Kojima Productions' surprise announced its release on Series X and S. Hideo Kojima's first post-Metal Gear game launched as a PS4 exclusive, published by Sony back in 2019, before arriving on PC a year later. Today, Death Stranding Director's Cut is on Xbox Series X and S, courtesy of publisher 505 Games, alongside a 50% launch discount. The timing, which comes exactly 5 years after the PS4 release, suggests Sony's console exclusivity deal for Death Stranding has now expired. Meanwhile, Kojima Productions announced that it now has full ownership of the Death Stranding intellectual property. It's a busy time for Kojima and for Death Stranding. The sequel, Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, is due out as a Sony-published PS5 exclusive in 2025, and a movie based on the first game is in the works. Elsewhere, Kojima is working on OD for Xbox Game Studios and Fizzant for Sony. Moving on, free-to-play Smash Bros.-style brawler Multiverses has significantly underperformed, publisher Warner Bros. Discovery has admitted. It contributed to a further $100 million loss for the company's games business this year. Warner Bros. Games acquired Multiverses developer Player First Games in July, just 2 months after the game relaunched, following early access and open beta releases throughout 2022 and 23. However, speaking in a recent financial call, Warner Bros. Discovery said Multiverses Failure had added another $100 million to the $200 million loss the company's games business had already suffered earlier this year. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Warner Bros. Games' only new game release during the third quarter of 2024 was Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, which failed to make an impression. According to SteamDB, at the time of this taping, Multiverses had just 686 concurrent players, with a 24-hour peak of 1,741. Multiverses' all-time peak of 153,000 concurrent Steam players was set over 2 years ago, before the game was pulled offline and overhauled. During the same financial call, Warner Bros. Said it is now doubling down on 4 games: Hogwarts Legacy, a sequel is already in the works, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and DC, in particular Batman. Warner Bros. Recently published VR game Batman Arkham Shadow exclusively on the MetaQuest 3, and has a Wonder game in the works at Monolith Productions, although who knows what the heck is up with that one. And finally today, Sony seems to be experimenting with the idea of a PlayStation controller that has a dedicated rewind button, according to a recently published patent. The patent, spotted by Tech for Gamers, is for gameplay rewind technology that would activate when the user presses a universal button on a controller during live gameplay. The button would activate a mode where the user sees a series of image frames of live gameplay that they can then scroll through. Selecting one will allow the player to review their gameplay from that point. According to the patent images, the button could be located where the share button on the controller is now. Another image shows on-screen interface buttons similar to those on a TV remote, with images including play, pause, next, previous, fast forward, and rewind. The patent description suggests that this feature would be useful in a number of ways, such as reminding a player of important quest information they might have missed, or how to reach a location they've been to before that they cannot recall how to access. It also details that a player might bookmark certain sections of gameplay they may want to revisit later, with the rewind button allowing them to quickly revisit these saved moments. Of course, many games offer a rewind feature. It's part of the gameplay in Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, and retro packages like the Mega Man Legacy Collection often include rewind. But this would be the first instance of it being provided at the hardware level that I'm aware of. While this patent is certainly interesting, it doesn't mean we're guaranteed to see a rewinding controller in the future. Gaming companies often patent tech they're working on, some of which makes it to market while some doesn't. In the last few years, we've seen Sony patent adaptive game difficulty systems, an interactive AR-based trophy system, NFT and blockchain technology, and more. And that's your Daily Fix for Thursday, November 7th. Now that you're caught up on the news, watch the official game overview for Metal Gear Solid Delta. I'm Damon Hatfield, and for all your video game news, stay tuned to IGN.